Hi everyone, welcome to our DIY roll-on essential oils class with Jessica from Una Biologicals. We are very excited and happy to have her here today. I am super excited as the executive director of Handmade Arcade to have the opportunity to work with so many amazing makers in so many different capacities this year as we've all learned new skills and new ways of communicating. So I just wanted to say thank you to Jess and to her son who's helping her out today. And with no further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jess, mute myself. And if you have questions as we're going, ask them in the chat or in the Q&A, and Owen and I will keep an eye on them and pause and ask Jess to maybe stop and back up if we need to. And I hope you enjoy your afternoon, your hour with us today. Okay.
Yay! Awesome. So thank you guys for showing up today and coming to do a little learning. I appreciate it. I'm super excited to be here. For those people who don't know me, I know many of you have been in our workshops before, or been to our shop, or been to our booth at Handmade Arcade. So I won't bore you with a lot of details, but I own Una Biologicals. We started in my kitchen forever ago, literally 20 odd years ago at this point, which is pretty cool. I have a background as an herbalist. I have a background in chemistry. I used to do organic farming. I'm generally a big geek. This is like how you get to be the science geeky girl that you are. Essential oils are actually one of the parts that I started in early in my life. I started with essential oils probably in about middle school. Like I said, I was a really big geek. By high school, I was taking classes with our local herbalists in downtown Fort Myers, where I grew up in the FLA. So I've been playing with these a long time. I still think I am far from being an expert. I am not certified in any of these certified things, but I do work with them a lot. They're all that we use in our products, and I do think that they can be really, really helpful, particularly right now in managing our stress. So I am really used to a very interactive workshop. So please do ask questions. I know people don't really like to when you're on webinars, but it will be more fun if you do. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to do a little bit of a PowerPoint so that we can kind of talk through some information so that you understand why we're using some of the oils that we're using, which ones you might actually want to use. We're going to talk about them in the context of problems associated with stress, right? Things that stress causes in our life, in our bodies, and how essential oils can help affect those things. I think that putting them in context makes them a lot less overwhelming. We're going to talk a little bit about blending, because I think that can be a kind of scary space, but don't worry, you got this. It's no big deal. If you screw it up, it does not matter. Just do another one. It's okay. We all screw up. When we start making things, just take really good notes. Get yourself a little notebook so that you can repeat the good things and not repeat the bad things. My early notebooks are filled with, don't do that. So, you know, learn, it's fine, it's cool. And then we'll also make a roll-on together. I'll show you how to actually do the blending and what I mean by these with the kits that you got. And then we'll talk about some essential oils and things, where to find them, other ones you might want to have in your repertoire. So we're going to cover a good bit. Really do feel free to stop and ask questions. I'm going to try to not talk too fast, but also not take too long, because it is a beautiful day outside and you might want to go, walk the dog and get some sunshine. So without further ado, Owen, if you want to share our screen, we'll go ahead and get into some of the nitty gritty. Yeah. All right. So we're going to go over kind of a big picture concept of stress relief. Next. We can't see each other now. All right. So one of the biggest things that happen with stress, and particularly right now, COVID is causing all kinds of madness in our bodies, right? We're having high cortisol dumps, which is not really helpful. And so the result is we tend to get anxiety, headaches, your digestion goes down the tubes, a lot of people are experiencing heart palpitations, brain fog is real when your stress levels go up. I don't know about you, but I have not slept in months, I feel like. And all of this can make us very cranky and irritable. We also just tend to have higher frustration levels and more anger, partly because of the hormones and things that are going on in our body, and also because we're having all these other issues, right? So we're going to address some of these things today. The herbs, there's a lot of herbs that can be helpful, tinctures, and then essential oils that you can utilize in your bath, in aroma, in, diffusers. Sorry, the brain fog, it's real. Or roll-ons like we're making, which you can keep with you and carry on. They're very highly functional, and I'm a big fan of however it works in your life is how you should be using it and making it, right? You don't have to prescribe to one thing. It doesn't have to be any particular way. It's okay. What's happening with our picture there? That's okay. But I really want to stress that herbs and oils are just one part of this. The lifestyle piece is really the key to managing your stress. And I know that we don't all want to hear that, but if you want it to really work, you've got to really look at the whole big picture. Next. I'm not really going to spend much time here on these today, but as an herbalist, I would be very amiss if I did not remind you that good digestive support and nutritional aid will go a super long way to helping your whole body function better and helping your stress be better managed. These 3 herbs are 3 that I think are the big heavy hitters and key to this, especially right now. They really help our liver function, and we're all drinking more. The statistics are through the roof on that, so I feel bold in making that statement. I feel like it's totally true. But nettle and dandelion are great, your bitter herbs in general, and then clover is super high as a tonic herb, which means an herb that you can use regularly, like every day, and it just builds its nutritional value in your system. Very high in vitamins and minerals, those guys. They also help kidney and uterine health. If your digestion is working well, your whole body is working better. And if your digestion gets backed up, it causes lots of other problems in your system, including your immune system, your circulatory system, a lot of your energy. So just a smart piece to keep a mind on. And you can have these as teas. You can cook your bitter greens with your beans and greens. There's some easy ways to kind of work these into your body. Next. And then there's a class of herbs called adaptogens. And these guys are really the ones that you want to talk about when it comes to stress. Adaptogens are a group of herbs that actually allow your body to adapt to circumstances, hence the name. They create body balance, right? And these herbs are going to support your endocrine and immune systems. A lot of them are biodirectional. And what that means is they can help raise you up or calm you down, depending on what your body needs, versus being just a stimulant, which is, super cool. And they help to keep you really even, Steven. We make a tea called our stress-free tea that's really power-packed in these adaptogen herbs. So essentially what they're going to do is help to mitigate that cortisol dump. Your adrenal glands are getting a whole lot of action right now, right? They're these little tiny glands, you can't see my hands because of my screen, that sit on top of your kidneys in your back. And they've been there forever and ever and ever in the human evolution, right? And back in the day, when we would be chased by very big animals, those adrenal glands would dump all this cortisol in our system and would help us run really fast and get our heart rate going really fast and increase our circulation so we could run like the dickens and get away and live, right? But what they would also do is maybe shut down your reproductive system and not put as much energy into your digestive system, because you don't need to digest food or make a baby when running for your life from a saber-toothed tiger, right? However, those same glands work the same way now, and you're not running for your life from a tiger. Your brain is uber stressed because of COVID. So your mental stress is creating the same physiological responses that your body's been trained to do over millennia. And that is not helpful to your current body state. So using some herbs that help to mitigate and create some body balance. And sometimes just understanding that can help make it easier for you to make space to give your brain some quiet and get a little calm. And we also have essential oils that can help with this. Yeah. I really like essential oils for stress because they tend to work on the subtle body more effectively than herbs, which are really going to affect your physical body, right? So they're going to really work your chi, focus on your soul, a little bit more. I won't say woo-woo, but definitely more subtle, right? And that can really work well for you for stress symptoms, because a lot of them tend to be more the subtle body sometimes than the physical body. Next. So when it comes to blending essential oils, right, there are kind of three main types. You have your aesthetic blend, which is essentially perfumery, right? And this could have a lot of different oils. Your goal is to make a really nice smell, make something that just brings you joy or happiness, right? Or whatever effect that you're going for, but that's kind of where we're going. The second type is very clinical, right? And this is used a lot in traditional Chinese medicine. And traditional Chinese medicine has 4 main oils that they use that are selected specifically for their physical effects on the body. A pleasant aesthetic blend is secondary, right? I think we always want it to smell pretty good. If you've worked with traditional Chinese medicine, you will know that that does not always happen with TCM. There are some stanky herbs that make some stinky teas, but they work really well. And then there's the more psychological, spiritual blends that are going to work on restoring your mental and emotional balance. And these use a few less oils. We tend to kind of stick to maybe 3 oils in a blend. I also think just in general, when people are starting out, if you're new to essential oils, I really like going with just maybe 3, possibly 4 essential oils in a blend. It's a lot easier to create a nice balance that way. While it's tempting to go crazy because you have all these things that smell really good, it's easy to screw it up that way. And you might be doing real swell, and then you throw in a geranium or a chamomile that can just bump your blend right off the charts. So start slow and easy. Just do a couple at a time. Plants from the same family tend to blend really well together.
Jess, can I just interrupt real quick? We have a question. What are the 4 main oils in classic Chinese medicine?
Oh, well, so they're not okay. They tend to use 4 oils, but not 4 specific essential oils. They have 4 principles that they utilize. And they have, it's less clear than like mind, arm, heart, soul. It's like oh no, they walked out of my head. But it's essentially like the enforcer, the adapter. So they have like 4 purposes, more than 4 specific oils. Good question though. The 5 oils that we put in your kit, your peppermint, lavender, clary sage, bergamot, and vetiver, are kind of my 5 top hits for stress that I think are the easiest to blend and have the broadest effects on your body for this specific thing. But we're also going to talk about a few other oils specifically that have great uses for helping to mitigate some stress symptoms, right? So the other piece I hope that answered your question. And if I didn't and you need more clarity, ask again or re-ask. The important thing I think in blending is to go slow, do a couple drops at a time, and don't assume that because you made a recipe, you can just double the recipe when you want to make more. Not all essential oils are going to double easily. For instance, peppermint, 3 drops and 6 drops are not going to give you the same balance in your blend, right? It doesn't double well. It can overpower very, very quickly. And so this is just something that there aren't good strict rules on. It's really an experiential piece. But I will tell you as we go through that I have noted in the PowerPoint that there are some essential oils that are very strong and you really want to go light on them. And I'm happy to answer specific questions about those as we go forward. Next. All right, let's talk about some anxiety, right? Anxiety is a big one. Right now, I think a lot of people are anxious for a lot of different reasons, but obviously COVID is throwing us kind of off the charts and then raising our anxiety about all the other things in our life, right? So lavender is one of the ones that I really, really love. I'm looking for my little one, and of course I have them all facing the wrong way. I really love lavender across the board for stress, and I think it's one of the best ones to use as a base because it's very comforting to your mind. It eases nervous tension. It really helps you to kind of maintain an equilibrium and have this nice body balance going on. It's just like a hug, right? So it's just really calm and easy to use. Geranium is great because I know there's a lot of type A people in this group. I think a lot of makers tend to be fairly type A. The overachievers, geranium helps to bring you down. It's really going to calm feelings of anxiety. It helps to relax your nerves, but geranium can be a little bit crazy. So, right? Geranium can kick you over the top. So you want to do just 1 or 2 drops on this, right? Melissa is another big one. I don't know if any of you guys know Melissa as the name, but I bet some of you have grown lemon balm in your yard. So lemon balm as an herb is a happy maker. It makes you joyous. It also helps to restore clarity and serenity, right? It's really great as a top note in your blend for depression, or if you're feeling, feelings of foreboding. It's going to help really kind of combat that gloom and doom and help kind of restore some like breath, which is great, right? A lot of the citrus ones, the lime, mandarin, orange, your citrus in general are mood uplifters. They're all going to bring you up and help kind of restore some joy and happiness, but they have slightly different ways of doing that, right? So lime is a little bit more soothing. It's going to bring you down a little bit and kind of like take the edge off. Mandarin in particular, along with lime, are both geared towards anxiety, where sweet orange, though I've listed it here, I think is more, it's a bit better for kind of nervousness and feeling edgy. And then bergamot is one that I put in the citrus group. It's kind of on the edge. It is citrus, but it's not in the like orangey, lemony group of things. But I love it because it really releases a lot of stuff. It helps you let go of emotions that you're hanging on to. And sometimes that's part of what we need to help move through our anxiety. And it helps to release the stuff that's causing it helps to release the root issue that might be causing some of your symptoms, right? So if you're finding yourself getting really angry, or you're feeling more depressed, or you're really having some nervous energy issues going on, right? Which is then going to lead to sleep issues, right? So those could be the symptoms of the deeper issue, right? And so bergamot helps to kind of release some of that deep issue stuff, which is great. I know some of us get a little afraid of that, but you don't always want to hold it. And right now it could just be releasing some of our COVID fear, stress, anxiety, and finding ways of coping, which has been really difficult for all of us to do. Bergamot is also a mood uplifter. So I really like that when paired with lavender per se, because it calms you and makes you happy at the same time. And then last, I love a little vetiver, which I included for you guys. It's the darkest oil that you have. And if you give it a little sniff, I'm assuming you all have smelled your things already. Vetiver is very earthy. It's actually a grass that grows, and it's super grounding, right? This is going to help keep you centered. So I like this like 1 drop in your blends to just give you that rooting that's going to allow you to stay centered and strong while these winds whip around you and you try to get yourself calm and centered again. Does this make sense? I'm assuming it makes sense because nobody's asked any other questions at this point. All right, Owen. So when you're making these blends, we're going to get into this in a little bit more detail later. I just wanted you guys to have copies of some base recipes to work off of, right? So as you can see, I do a couple drops of the oils themselves, right? Lavender goes further. It's less overwhelming, so we use more of that. 5 drops, not milliliters. We'll show this when we do our actual making. A little bit of bergamot in the middle, and just a little top note of geranium, and that's going to really be an uplifting, calming yet happy making blend, right? And then the other one is an example of a little bit more grounding, a little bit more headspace, and a little bit more soothing. This one's taking the edge off. We put the vetiver in, so this one's really kind of getting you rooted with some lavender, a bit of clary sage, which we're going to talk about. It's really good for mental space, and then lime to take the anxiety and the edge off a little bit, which I really like. And I've also included a stress less breath, which I think is lovely. I think giving yourself time to just breathe sometimes can make all the difference in the world. If you were sitting here in front of me, I'd make you do this with me, but I'm not gonna force you to breathe today. Next. Please note before I talk about this, that these recipes are just a jumping off point, right? The important thing is that these are for you, which means you should use the oils that resonate the most for you. If you hate bergamot, don't use it. There are other oils that will uplift you, right? And then these are just like when you're working from a recipe that you get online, when you're cooking. If you like more chili powder in your chili, don't stick to a teaspoon, bump it to a tablespoon, right? You should feel free to make this your blend. This is just a good framework of some ideas that you can kind of adjust moving forward from, right? Don't get stuck on what I'm showing you in terms of recipes. This is just a base that you can work from. Headaches are another big issue right now. Stress causes a lot of headaches. Some of that has to do with anxiety and tension. Some of it has to do with circulation. It has to do with not getting enough sleep, being dehydrated. That's a big one. Be sure to drink your water. It might have more effect than anything else. One thing that I like for headaches that's not on here is a headstand. I do them against the wall because if I'm not feeling well, I'm not trying to hold my balance in a yoga pose. But throw a pillow up against a wall and flip yourself upside down. It's shocking what it will do for you. Really good for insomnia, really good for headaches, and also just good for a literal new perspective. So try that out. In terms of essential oils, the first 4 are the big hitters when it comes to headaches. Peppermint and lavender are the most common blend. You will see them just about everywhere. Almost any headache stick you buy, including the ones we make, blend peppermint and lavender together. I really like oak moss. Oak moss is this beautiful blend. It's actually lichen. It's not a singular plant. And most of the ones that you buy are blends of multiple oak moss lichen, not one particular type. It really helps to open, especially if you're having headaches related to congestion. So seasonal headaches, like right now, it's an aid. And it's a beautiful scent. It's also pretty grounding, which again, I think anything that helps us to stay out of our heads so much can be really helpful when we're having a lot of stress and anxiety. Something that helps us remember to step back, right?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. Somebody asked if we are blending oils today, which we are.
We are. Yep, we're going to get to them here in just a minute.
Yeah. And then another person asked, do the properties of the oils only work if you enjoy how they smell? Does that make sense? Or do they work even if you don't enjoy how they smell?
Very good question. They work no matter what. However, I do think that people resonate more with some oils than others. This is my personal belief system. I'm sure there's somebody that's written about this, but in my experience, if you really dislike something, one, you're not going to use it. So don't bother making yourself something with it, because if you hate it, you're not going to do it. It's kind of like forcing yourself to eat that veggie that you can't stand. There could be an underlying reason, right? Maybe your blood type doesn't go well with broccoli. Could be a thing. Also, if if you make things with the oils that you do love, I think your body is resonating more with them. If you're on the fence, I often say to trust your intuition on it. Hold the oil, smell the oil, feel the vibe and energy. I'm getting a little woo-woo on you, but that's okay. You can handle it. If you don't resonate, don't use it, even if you think you should use it. For instance, if you hate peppermint, but you get headaches, try using a grapefruit instead. It's not the most common option for headaches, but it is really stimulating. It's going to help the circulation and it's going to make you feel better. So you have options there. Definitely don't stick with something. Don't force yourself into an essential oil that you're not loving. They will work. A lot of them do have physically stimulating properties that will work no matter what. For instance, the peppermint increases circulation, it dilates capillaries, it increases blood flow, which helps with mental focus and retaining information. All of that is going to happen even if you don't like the smell, but you're not going to enjoy the experience, which is not going to help the issue, right? And I think that that's important to think about. When you're blending for your headaches, remember that peppermint is very, very strong. So you're not going to want to use a lot of it. You're going to want to do way more lavender, for instance, than peppermint. If you hate lavender, then you can back off on it and bump your peppermint up. But to get a balance in between the two, if you're blending peppermint with something else, it is very overwhelming. So only use a little bit. I also don't tend to enjoy mint and citrus together. You can do a tiny bit, but I've seen people want to do these because we love grapefruit and we love peppermint, or I love orange and I love peppermint, but sometimes they don't mix well together. So go light on that blend if you're going to try that one out, right? And then I also really like the oak moss and lavender together. I think it's a beautiful combination. I think it's very calming as well as great for your headaches.
There's one other question about distilled bottled water. Someone just asked, they're lost on the blending. Is distilled bottled water? I think they mean, is bottled water the same as distilled water?
So bottled water is typically purified or distilled. We tend to recommend purified or distilled versus tap water because there are less impurities in it. And so you're less likely to have something wonky go awry in your bottle. So when you've put your water into your spray bottle, if you use the distilled water, it's more likely to last longer and not have mold grow in it or something kind of icky happen. There's also less, there's not chlorine added to it. There's probably less lead in it, that kind of a thing. Pinch hitting, totally use the tap water. When I make cleaner for the house and I'm using it today, I use the tap water and I throw the vinegar in it and I throw the essential oil in it and I move on, right? No big deal. But if you're making something that you're probably going to use for a little bit, it's recommended to use purified or distilled water. That is for the 6 ounces is for a spray bottle, right? Which you can pick up a dollar store squirt bottle. You don't have to use anything in particular. You can just get your bottle, you throw your oil in, your water in, and you throw your essential oils in. And then to make that stay, you can use your vodka, right? It's a fixative, so it's essentially going to do the same thing as having added alcohol to it, which a lot of, if you buy a product over the shelf, you're going to see a lot of them have alcohol in it. Most of the time that's in there as a fixative and as, a drying agent. I have lots of things to say about that, which I won't in this moment. But you can literally just add a few drops of vodka into your water and it'll help to fix the essential oils in there so that they don't dissipate as quickly in your blend. And then if you're doing it as a roll-on, so the second recipe that you're looking at is more of a carrier blend, right? You can mix and match these. Remember, you don't have to make one for the spray per se and one for the roll-on per se. But you can use a carrier of your choice, which we're gonna get to when we make this. You can use an oil, you can use a water. There's a lot of options there. It's very user-friendly, blending your essential oils. Next one up. Brain fog, right? It's real. I think it's one of the biggest parts of stress. When we're under a lot of stress and we're having a lot of cortisol dumps, we have a lot of fatigue. We also have a lot of brain fog. There's a lot of herbs that can help with this, but there's essential oils that are going to work on your focus as well. The 5 here I think are really great. My 2 favorites in this are clary sage and rosemary. Clary sage is amazing at promoting brain clarity, focus, memory. It's also really great for third eye and kind of your whole like being open, right? Which is great. I love that. Basil is wonderful at combating mental fatigue. So you can literally pinch basil out of your garden and smell it, and you can use that to help kind of stimulate your brain with memory and recall. But you can also buy basil essential oil. It is not a particularly expensive one. So if that's a smell that you really love, you can make a blend with that. It blends really nicely with lemon, and that would give you a nice kind of uplifting to help your brain focus back in. Rosemary is probably the most common and popular essential oil for mental focus. It really increases circulation in your brain, in your whole body, but in your brain. Rosemary for remembrance, that's a thing, right? They used to make rosemary crowns. Rosemary is often planted in front of houses. Some of that is to ward off bad juju, but it's also to help people remember to come back to your house. It's got a long history of use around memory, but it really stimulates brain activity. So it's a great one to blend into things. It's also has some nice antimicrobial properties. So this time of year, with all the germies and cold and flu season, it's a nice one to utilize. And then peppermint is really great for actually absorbing information. So you can kind of get a double whammy action with your headache help and some mental focus and taking the edge off of things. I really like peppermint if you're studying and you need to recall things. These are great blends to have at your desk for when you really need to kind of get your brain focused and working. And you can just inhale them under your nose. You can make just a straight essential oil blend that you put into your diffuser at home. If you don't have a diffuser, you can put it on a light bulb, and when you turn a light bulb on, it will light up, it will diffuse into the room. You can also make it as a blend that you wear. You can just put it on your wrists, or you can put it on your temples or on your neck. I tell people, utilize it in the way that's most comfortable for you. There isn't really a right and a wrong when it comes to, oh, I made this oil, how should I use it? Will it not work if I put it on my feet instead of on my head? No, it'll be fine. There's lots of different ways to use them. When I want my grounding oils, I often put them on my feet, and sometimes because I want the grounding, but I don't want to smell like patchouli and sandalwood today. So, again, this is real life. Do what works for you in the way that you're going to actually use it. Otherwise, there's no point in making it, right? And if you're using it, that's the goal. You want to be using it so that it can help you feel better. So there's a couple blends here that I particularly like. I almost always use clary sage in them. You have your clary sage, so you can give it a little sniff. It smells awesome. It's a kind of green, right? It's very herbally, but bright at the same time. So it's got a little bit of like, I don't know, it always reminds me of like grass and summertime and maybe Florida, because I use this a lot when I lived in Florida. So it's great. Anyway, not that it smells like Florida to you, but that's what it smells like for me. Really good for brain stimulation. So I like that with a little bit of rosemary with that. That's going to be a more herby blend, whereas the second blend with the bergamot and lavender, you're going to get onto the really citrus side. And if you want to know what that would smell like, you can literally just take your 3 bottles, take your clary sage, take your lavender, and take your pepper and your bergamot, and take their little lids off and hold them together, right? So I'm doing this right now. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. You just take your 3 and you hold them together, and then you can give a little sniff. You can move it around. I hope you're doing this, because if you're not learning. And you'll get a sense of what they really smell like together, and you'll see how beautifully they blend. They are really, really nice together. If you're unsure if you're making a blend and you're not sure if you want to add something else, often I'll hold my blend and then I'll hold the new oil that I want to add with it and smell them together. And it'll give you a sense of, is this where I want to be going? Is this the vibe I want? or is this taking us in a different path, right? So it's a good way to kind of double check what it might be like before you throw it into your mix, especially if you're really digging your mix right now and you don't want to change it until you find just the right one. It's a good little hack. Okay, next. Sleeping. That's Bentley. That's our shop dog. Sleeping really is hard when you're stressed out, and it super sucks right now. And you probably all already know this, but making yourself a routine is going to work better than most of the things that you can do in terms of like taking a pill, right? So setting up a system that helps yourself to unwind, allow yourself that space, give yourself room for a practice. It will serve you well, even if it doesn't sound as much fun as hanging out and drinking wine and watching television until midnight and then wondering why you can't sleep at 2 in the morning and then starting your day at 6 and being kind of pissed off about how cranky and bad you feel, right? This is real life. We know, we speak this language. It really does help to turn off your screens an hour before you're trying to sleep. I will say Kindles now have a new brown screen instead of the blue screen. So it seems like some of the products out there are getting wise to the fact that people need less of the blue light so that you can sleep. So give yourself that space. Alcohol's not our friend once we're of a certain age, I'm sorry to say, really poopy, because I really like my glass of wine, but it will jack up your sleep, particularly if you're a woman over the age of 40. It kind of goes downhill on that side of things, the sleep and booze ratio. And then
can I interrupt and just say boo?
I know,
Boo!
it sucks. Aware. This is the part where I usually get booed, so thank you for that. It's not a practice I like to practice myself, and I always feel bad preaching it, but it works. If you give yourself a couple nights without the wine, you'll probably see that your sleep is a little bit better.
There's a question of how long do oils last?
Oh, that's a great question. If you keep your oils in oil safe, in light safe jars, so typically you're going to see oils sold in brown bottles. Brown and blue bottles help to prevent light deterioration, right? So anytime you can get a brown bottle or a blue bottle, which you can buy at sksbottle.com, write that down. It's a good website. You can buy not large quantities there pretty easily. Your oils will last.
What was the website again? I'm going to put it in the chat.
Yep. SKS bottle, BOTTLE.com. Thank you. Really good spot to get containers. Also, most of the ones that you would buy are going to come in a bottle like this. And if you don't store it on your windowsill, if you keep it kind of out of direct sunlight, it'll be fine. It'll last for ages. You're more likely to have the oil turn in something that you've made. Just not get rancid, but you'll smell like an older smell to it versus like when you first make it. So we also tend to make things in small quantities so that you're going to use it up. But if it's just a straight essential oil blend, it can last for years. Essential oils, a lot of them will age and they may adjust a little bit, but if they're protected, if the cap is on tight, I actually prefer this type of cap versus a dropper cap that we use when we're doing short-term use bottles. These will evaporate and allow air in, so they're not as good for long-term storage. You want the tight, twisty kind of cap of some kind. Good questions. We're going to talk about a couple sleep oils, and then we'll do a little bit of blending. Yeah, Owen, thank you. Oh, look at that cat. Everybody needed a cat. I don't even have cats, and I felt like we needed a cat in here because, you know, they're cute. So there's a big list of oils that are really helpful for insomnia. Obviously lavender, everybody knows that. Chamomile is lovely. However, you want to make sure you get English chamomile or Roman chamomile. Those are the two names it goes by. That is the one that smells like what you're thinking in terms of that sweet appley scent. German chamomile is blue. It smells much more bitter. It is not the one you're going for. That has a more topical use for healing versus sleep. Chamomiles can be kind of expensive. Don't buy a big bottle, right? And you only need a little tiny bit of it, a couple drops straight up. If you have a friend and you do this with friends, I would share a bottle if possible. Bergamot is awesome. And then I really love Ravensara. It's there, you see it. It's great for chronic fatigue, right? Chronic fatigue and insomnia. It's also an antiviral. So this time of year it can be really helpful. And Ravensara is a little bit green. It's actually in the laurel family, which is kind of interesting and a little bit different, and it resonates for the Pennsylvanians. It has a little floral to it. But it's very a bit more green. It's really pretty. It has a really, really pretty aroma. So that's one I would put on your list to buy. And at the very end of this, there are a list of websites for essential oils. So, and again, we're going to email you this so that you have this as a guide to go back to. Any of these can be used in your diffuser. Any of them can be used in a roll-on. You can put a couple drops on a cotton ball and stick it under your pillow. You can make a spray and spray it on your pillow at night, spray it on yourself at night. Sprays I almost always do in water because you're spraying it on linens or on your body. You don't want oils on your sheets and things. You don't want to stain stuff. So you're just going to do that in water, right? And then you can pick a couple different essential oils based on the type of sleep trouble that you tend to have, because everybody has kind of slightly different ones. The verbena, lemon verbena, the same as you would have in a tea. It's really, really pretty, very lemony. That's particularly good for nervous fatigue. So if your insomnia is a result of too much nervous energy and super high stress levels, the verbena is a really good way to go. Neroli can be very expensive right now. It's kind of off the charts. So if you don't already have it, I would wait on it. I know that you see it in a lot of blends. It's sold as a blossom, orange blossom. However, it is one of the greenest, sharpest oils out there, in my opinion. It smells nothing like a flower or a blossom. It's very, very green. So if you don't tend to like that type of smell, I would not spend that money. Okay, it's very expensive. You would do just as well with lavender, chamomile, bergamot, ravensara. Those would be great. And then mandarin, the citrus. Mandarin is really good on sleep. And, you know, we talked about it earlier for anxiety. So a lot of these do double duty, and you can have them work on multiple spaces, which is very, very helpful. One for your pocketbook and two for your blends. It makes it a little bit easier. Okay, Owen. So here are some references for where to buy essential oils, right? I buy from Mountain Rose is great for herbs, and they do have wonderful essential oils. They are on the West Coast, and they take a long time to get to you right now. Camden Gray, tons of making supplies, very good pricing on essential oils, and you can buy small bottles of them and pretty good, a nice quality. So you have some good options there. Rainbow Meadow is probably my favorite. She's an independent essential oil place. She can be a little bit more expensive than some of the others, but her quality is amazing. Monterey Bay, actually, that is more for herbs, if you want to do some herb blending. Of course, at Una, we sell essential oils in these awesome little bottles, all the ones, not all the ones that we talked about, but your primary essential oils we have available. They're on our website. We try to keep our prices very low for you because I want people to make blends. So, and if there's one that you really want and you can't find, please do shoot me an email, which is on the next, oh no, the next page has some books for you. My contact is here. Oh, and you can switch it. Some books that I really like are listed here. But if you can't find something, please do let me know and I can help you out with that. Sometimes we have them available. We can bottle you up a little bit if you're really struggling. The one other place that I like is called Eden Botanicals. Trisha, if you don't mind putting that in there, I'm trying to find the sign for it. Eden Botanicals. They do a really good job. Also, and they have some that are maybe a little bit harder to find. So if you're looking for ones that are hard to find, and they have organic versions, which not everybody carries. So you have some options there. All right. And then there's a list of books. These are books that we actually use. So if you want to kind of delve a little bit deeper and want some guides, my particular favorites are Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit, the very first one listed. This is what it looks like. Super, super cute. This is a great book. It has a lot of really useful information, lovely blending in it. I would start there. I think that that's wonderful. Okay, so questions on all of this crazy information?
There is a question.
Lay it
There
on
is
me.
if you don't have all of the oils, for instance, at bedtime, if you don't have Ravensara, what would work without?
You know, you could use the ones that are in our in your kit. You could use lavender and bergamot. Will totally work. That will absolutely do the trick. You could use a little bit of lime oil. It's easy to get your hands on the citrus oils, the sweet orange and lemon. Those can be helpful in the citrus space if that's where you're going. But just out of what we have, you can make a blend with the lavender and bergamot, and it would work today.
Is there, I'm going to ask a question. Is there, and you may have already said this, and I apologize because I was doing a graphic while you were talking. I wonder, is there a place or a website that you recommend that folks go to find blends, or do you, like, if, you know, if somebody, like, for example, this question, oh, I don't have the Ravensara, what could I, you know, like substitutions, kind of like, you know, when you're looking up a recipe and you're like, I don't have cream of tartar. What can I put in place?
Right. What could I put in instead?
Yeah. Or a book.
Right. The books that Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit is great. And Herbal Goddess, I'm literally looking at my actual books, trying to think of which ones that I think have the best blend options in them and ideas. I tend to go to books more than I do the internet when it comes to essential oils. This is one of my conspiracy theories where I just don't always trust the amount of information that's out there. The Herbal Academy online is really great for which is listed in our resources list. I think it's a really great online resource for learning a lot of things about herbs and natural wellness as a whole, and they have a great online resource center. Essential oils are a little bit trickier. I don't personally ascribe to the two big essential oil houses, doTERRA and Young Living, and I'm not dissing them if you do at all. I just recognize that they are businesses whose goal is to sell their brand. And I think that sometimes you might not get enough information about other options that are out there. So that's why I tend to buy from these other sources that I think have, they're sourcing from more places. I think their pricing is a little bit better. I've had consistently great quality from all the places that I listed for you. But I do think a couple books are the way to go when it comes to essential oil blending. And honestly, Half Price Bookstore almost always has some of them. So you have options. And we try to have them at Una. We don't always, they tend to go kind of fast. I see this. So you have, Anita, out of the ones that you have, if what you want is if what you want is a sleep blend, I would do lavender with the sweet orange or the rosemary. You could also do peppermint if you really like peppermint. I don't tend to do that for sleep, but I often put a mint and lavender blend on at the end of my day, like rub it on my feet. And for me, it's very calming and relaxing. So I don't find that for sleep as much as kind of separating from the day and letting go a little bit. So you could do that and just save your lavender with just a drop of sweet orange in it for your roll-on or your pillow spray. That's what I would do. Karen, the books that I put in the list, I really, I like all of them. I think Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit. Patricia Davis is really good. She has a couple books. So I'm just grabbing the other one. I put them, let's knock the candle over. She has a couple books, Subtle Aromatherapy and Aromatherapy Scheisse, from A to Z. This is why you put the lids on your essential oils, people. I have rules about that at work, and I didn't do it right now. That's okay. We'll be fine.
Should we stop the screen share and maybe zoom in on you?
We absolutely should. So let me remove the essential oils from my laptop and switch over to this. Let me see. There we go. Trisha, we're mostly seeing your screen. No? Okay, good. Sorry, I was only seeing Trisha's screen. My apologies, folks. All right.
I think we can see. I have your screen spotlighted. So
lovely.
If the panelists can see, I'm sorry, the attendees can see something different, put it in the chat. But I think that it's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think it's changed now, so I feel like we're good. So for me, when it comes to making your roll-on, right? Everybody got their bottle. Now, I like an oil as my base for a roll-on. I find this to be, I like the consistency best when I'm actually rubbing it on my skin. For your oil, you could use just about anything in your house, right? My favorite personally is sunflower oil. It doesn't really have a smell. It's very inexpensive. You can buy it at the grocery store. It's it's nourishing for your skin. It has high like vitamin E type of properties in it. So I think that it's great. You can also use water. You can use avocado oil, apricot oil, jojoba oil, literally anything that you want to pick up at the grocery store or at PenMac, you can utilize. You can also use olive oil if that's what you have at home right now. Totally fine. Some of them have a bit stronger scent to them. So it might take a little bit more essential oil to have the essential oil as your smell versus smelling the olive oil, which is kind of why I go with sunflower. So you're going to take your pipette, right? And if you haven't done, sorry, I'm gonna move this a little forward. If you haven't been in science class in a minute, to make your pipette work, you're going to squeeze the bulb. And when you release the bulb, it creates a suction, right? And it's gonna suck up whatever you're putting it into. So you're gonna put it in your oil, squeeze the bulb, release the bulb, woo! There's my oil, right? And then you're just gonna put that into your pipette, into your glass roll-on jar, right? And I like to fill it about 3/4 of the way. I like to leave a little bit of room for myself to play with. So that's why I do that, right? So you're gonna go to 3/4. Do that where I'm not gonna touch it because I will make a mess, right? Then you're going to take your essential oils that you want, right? So if we're going to do a calming blend, right? A little calming and balancing. We've been talking a lot about that overall. I'm gonna start with lavender, right? Because I really, really like lavender. And again, you're gonna just put your pipette in and draw some up. Now, we're working with drops here, people. This is a small container. So your pipette is actually numbered, which you probably can't see, but you have it. So if you look at the one in front of you, you can see the first line is a half mark. The second line is 1 milliliter, and then it goes 1/2, 2, 2.5, 3. If you're making a bigger blend, you can do milliliters worth. There are about 2.5 milliliters in each of your bottles. You don't need that much. That's like half of one of these bottles, right? Your traditional bottle that you would buy. It doesn't take very much. You can literally put about, I'm going to start with, let's say 5 drops of lavender. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Just a drop, which is a drop, not a full squeeze, right? If you do a full squeeze, a whole bunch is going to come out, right? So you're just going to pull some up, and then you're going to squeeze just a tiny, tiny bit. So you just get that one little drop. I know it sounds like I'm talking to you like you're a kindergartner, but in all of our perfume bars that we've done, I've had at least one person that has taken a drop to mean a squeeze. Karen, you could use coconut oil. Coconut oil will melt at body temperature, but it can be solid in the cold, right? Jen, you can use almost any oil. So you can use, I'm using sunflower oil because I find that to be really good and inexpensive and not have a smell. But you can use avocado, apricot, jojoba, almond, olive, if that's what you have at home. Literally use what you've got. If you're gonna go buy something, get yourself some sunflower oil. But if you're using what's in your house, literally anything will work. It's okay. So if you put your lavender in, give it a little sniff, it smells like lavender, right? If you want it to smell more like lavender, you could add a few more drops. We've only done 5. That gives you room to add more if you want to, right? Now, I am in need of some grounding and some brain space. That's what I need. So I'm gonna do a little bit of clary sage. Clary sage, I'm gonna put 3, no, we only did 5. I'm only gonna do 2 drops of clary sage, right? Are you blending? If you're blending and you're doing something different, tell me what you're doing. So now I still smell mostly the lavender, which is why I always double check, right? I like a little more clary sage, so I'm gonna put 2 more in. If I wasn't doing this in front of you, I would be writing a note down. I hope you have a notebook and you're writing little notes. Now,
Somebody asked, sorry I missed it, what is the base before putting in the essential oils?
I think I answered that actually for Jen.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yep, I have the chat up just so that I could kind of keep an eye on that part while we do this. Now this smells more like a pretty even blend between the lavender and the clary sage. Has anybody else blended this? You should. Great. At this point, you can go either way. You can put, I'm so sorry, I just had to move this other laptop. I threw my bergamot across the room. Here it is. You can do bergamot and do a little uplifting, right? Or you could do vetiver and do a little grounding. You could go either way. I would not put both of these in together with your clary sage and lavender. It's going to be wonky. It's not going to be the vibe you want. I'm going to show you vetiver because it's a different consistency, right? It's thicker than the others, and you can literally, so when you pull it up, you can see it drops more like a vegetable oil, right? Essential oils tend to be kind of watery for the most part, but the vetiver is really thick. So it's really easy to get just 1 drop. And that's all that I'm gonna put in here. And you can literally like see it sinking down. Did you see that? I wish I was holding it up to the camera for you, but I'm afraid my fingers got oily. So now, anytime I make a blend, I put my thumb over it, I shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, and put my good, happy energy in it and just love it, love it, love it, love it. And see where we would be. Yes, Mena, you could totally add peppermint if you wanted to do a focus blend. That would be a fabulous focus blend. I would do 1 or 2 drops, right? So I feel like the lavender and clary sage are a nice jumping off point for a lot of things. And you can kind of build from there. You could also do lavender with the bergamot and a drop of the vetiver if you want more of an uplifting, right? So we've got people that have started with some lavender, and we've got people that have added some clary sage. Mena's putting in some peppermint. If you had rosemary at home, you could add rosemary right now, and it would be delightful. Really, really yum. Who else? Who's making a blend? If you want to make a blend and you're not sure what you want to do, now is a really great time to ask a question about it, right? I would also, well, now I made this one. So for my pillow blend, right, because we've talked about that, I'm going to do my spray bottle. And again, you do not have to have one of these fancy glass bottles. You can go to Target and buy a plastic bottle for $1 in the dollar section. Great. Or go to the dollar store. I use those all the time because I make a lot of sprays for all the different things in my house, right? Now I have filled this up. You can kind of see, there's water about 3/4 full in there, right? I am going to then put my my essential oils in here for a spray. it is important that you do not mix up your pipettes, right? You don't want to double dip. So I tend to, you can't see, and I've also done kind of a crap job today because I was distracted talking to you. I tend to line my pipettes up next to my bottle that they're for. If you're unsure, you can sniff your pipette and your vetiver will be a different color, which is helpful. But when in doubt, get a new pipette. Your bottles that you're going to buy in a store are going to come with an orifice reducer cap. That's going to let you do a couple drops. Pamela, I put in 1 drop of vetiver. So I did 5 drops of lavender, 4 drops of clary sage because I didn't think I had enough clary sage for my liking, and 1 drop of vetiver. If you wanted to go up on that blend, I would do 2 to 3 drops of bergamot instead of vetiver. And I think you'll have a really, really pretty blend there. And Karen, you can add Lang Lang to any of these. I like Lang Lang. It's super sweet and very pretty for people who don't know it. It's a flower. It's very sweet and a little sexy. It's good for your sacral chakra, so your creative energy. And with the essential oils that you have in this kit, I would blend that with the bergamot and the lavender, and I would do less lavender. Lang Lang is also very strong, so I would only do like 2 drops of Lang Lang. If you want to make a spray, I would do like 6 drops of bergamot, which is going to be bright and sunny, with 2 drops of Lang Lang, which is going to put your sweet and sexy in, and then maybe a drop or 2 of lavender to be that kind of middle note, right? A lot of essential oils build a base, a middle, and a high. You don't always need that, but you can. It's a good kind of jumping off point. All right, any requests for the spray? I'm gonna give you a minute. I'm gonna take a drink. All right, you're getting what I give you then, kids. Yay. I like that. Let's do the bergamot because I'm pretty into it and it's really lovely. It's bright and sunny. It kind of reminds me of Italy. You can do, this is a big bottle. Even with your big bottle, you don't need to go crazy. So I'm still only going to do 10 drops. I almost never do more than 10 drops unless I'm doing a really big batch of something or I want a big smell, right? And you'll see once you start adding them in. But like I said, start light and build up, right? So I did 10 drops of that. That's sunny, sunny. Ooh. Secretly, I want to put sweet orange in this, which I could do, but you don't have sweet orange. So I really want to give you something that you have. I'm going to do just 3 drops of lavender. I'm going to put my thumb over it and shake it and give it to my love. Ooh, that is sunny. It's not as sunny as I want though, so I am going to add just a couple drops of orange. And honestly, I would put Ravensara in this if I had it. I think it'll just give you a nice little touch of green. And this will make a super pretty spray. I put in 3 drops of Ravensara, friends. So I did 10 bergamot, 3 lavender, 5 orange, and 3 Ravensara. And it smells heavenly. There is no trick to this. This is literally a practice game. This is giving yourself room to play. Give yourself a $30 budget and go get yourself a couple essential oils that you really like or you think you're gonna really like. Buy the little bottles because you're just learning and you don't need giant bottles of it. And then have some fun. Get some squirt bottles, throw some water in it, put some drops in, write your notes so that you remember what you did because you're gonna love it, right? And then give it a spritz and try it out. That's really all there is to it. This is a super duper doable, you have the ability to do this at home, fun game. This can be your new winter COVID project. You don't have to macrame, you can make blends instead. And you can always shoot me an email. It is 3 o'clock. We've been on here for an hour and I don't want to keep you, but I am happy to answer more questions. Anita, I'm going to email you the PowerPoint, and you will have all of the recipes that are, they're almost all based on the oils that I sent you. I tried to keep the base recipes based on what was in our kit. And my email is on the very last page, but we can type it in. It's jgraves. Owen, can you type for me? Because I have oils everywhere. I'm going to knock something over again. At unabiologicals.com. So shoot me emails. We will get this out to you. I really appreciate you all hanging out and making things, and I hope you learned something.
Thanks, Jess. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And we're going to put this on the website, and we're going to get we'll put the presentation on the website, and we will also email it out. So
absolutely, you'll have it today.
Okay.
The pipettes you can rinse with isopropyl alcohol if you're going to reuse them. That's the way to do it. Just rubbing alcohol.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.